BOTV Go app එක දැන්ම දාගන්න. BOTV Go SLT BOTV ටීවී බලන හොඳම විදිහ.
Tonight, double standard. Grades 1 to 5 to have an extra week at home. Who's who? Unidentified body parts still languishing at the Judicial Medical Officer's mortuary.
We are request to public that if any person is missing, may inform to nearest police station.
Verbal ban. National Alliance for Lawyers points to a hole in the ban on two extremist Islamic groups.
Up to yesterday, banning of these two organizations have not been gazetted as per the Prevention of Terrorism Act.
The biggest casualty in Easter attacks. State Minister of Finance reaffirms the government's commitment to revive the tourism sector.
Some countries have recovered in 6 months, some have taken 2 years. We are doing our utmost to see that we recover in the fastest possible.
AdaDerana ඇතුළත ඉදීම සමනය කරන අතර විනාඩි 5කින් ක්‍රියා කිරීම ආරම්භයි. AdaDerana දිවියට නව දිරයක්. AdaDerana වෙතින් එසේ කැක්කමට විශේෂඥ AdaDerana Headfast ඉක්මනට සහනය අදම අත්විඳින්න.
All that and much more coming up on First at 9 this Saturday, the 4th of May 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamkek Naika. We have a comprehensive update on the country's security status on the way. But first, let's start with what the police media spokesperson had to say today. Addressing a media briefing in Colombo, police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara said that there are 56 unidentified body parts at the Colombo Judicial Medical Officer's mortuary and public assistance is needed in identifying them. He urged people to inform of any missing persons who may have visited the locations which came under terrorist attacks on Easter Sunday.
Necessary security arrangements have been given to all schools. Therefore, special security measures will be taken in each police divisions. Security action plans will be carried out after the discussion with teachers and parents. Searching operations will be conducted tomorrow adjoining school premises in Colombo area prior the starting of next school term. We have allocated special parking premises in Colombo area to park all school buses and school vans. I will send a detailed press release later. 56 unidentified diseased body parts on 21st April attack are in Colombo Judicial Medical Office mortuary. We are request to public that if any person is missing from 21st April who has arrived to explosions occurred areas may inform to nearest police station so that we can able to conduct DNA test for proper identification of such diseased body parts.
International media reports that Saudi Arabia arrested Maulana Raila, brother-in-law of Zahran Hashim, who is considered to be the leader of the Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka, and a colleague of his who goes by the name Shah Nawaz. The arrest in Saudi Arabia had reportedly been made following information provided by Indian intelligence agencies. According to Indian news reports, officers in Indian security agencies say that they are already in touch with their Saudi Arabian counterparts to find out on any links between the IS cadres responsible for the Sri Lankan attacks, with Colombo on the verge of sending a team to Saudi Arabia. The report goes on to say that after the Easter Sunday bombings, Indian Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale is believed to have called up the top brass of the Tata-owned Indian Hotels Company Limited to ask them to install security scanners and metal detectors at their 3 properties in Sri Lanka because all the suicide bombers are not still accounted for. It further reads that the IS-inspired bombings in Sri Lanka have raised serious concerns of a spread of this Islamic group in India through the virtual space, as the rabid group hardly holds any territory in Syria and Iraq. Opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa had a word of caution for media today as he said that the proposed Counter-Terrorism Act will crack down on media freedom if it passes in Parliament. The opposition leader aired these views following a meeting with Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, last evening.
Opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa as well as a group of parliamentarians from the joint opposition met with Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith at the Archbishop's house in Colombo last evening.
We in the joint opposition expressed our sadness and offered our condolences to the Catholics who are affected by this tragedy. They are planning to introduce the Counter-Terrorism Act. It is the media who will be affected the most. Media still doesn't understand the magnitude of this and are quiet about it. This will also affect university students who engage in struggles as well as workers. The Act is targeting these groups.
It is
not the government who should take credit for thwarting attempts to spur ethnic conflict following this tragedy, but it is His Eminence who put an end to it. His Holiness Pope Francis, in a letter addressed to Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, says that he prays all Sri Lankans be affirmed in their resolve to foster social harmony, justice and peace. The Pope expressed horror over the attacks on Christian communities gathered in prayer on Easter Sunday. Pope Francis once more went on to assure his profound solidarity and continued prayers for all those affected by those contemptible crimes. His Holiness, meanwhile, commended the Archbishop of Colombo and his fellow bishops, together with the clergy, religious and lay faithful. We have an update on the country's security status right after this break. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is AdaDerana 24.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, National Alliance for Lawyers points out that despite the President's Media Division announcing a ban on 2 extremist Islamic organizations within the country, the relevant gazettes are yet to be issued. The President's Media Division said on Saturday that National Tawhid Jamaat and Jamaat-e Millatu Ibrahim are banned. Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today, Attorney at Law Major Charita Siriwardana alleged that the breakdown of the government of Sri Lanka left the country vulnerable for terrorist attacks.
The Prime Minister and also the State Minister of Defence says that since last October, they were not invited for the Security Council meetings. There are 2 things the Prime Minister should have done. The first one is he should have sent a grievance letter to the President. Supposing he had done it, and if the President had not responded positively, then what should he do? Then he must make a public statement and keep the people of this country enlightened. The other indicator, the President telling that he was not informed by the Defense Secretary. So in such a case, the President is also responsible. The terrorists scrutinized the entire world and they found that in Sri Lanka, as a result of this breakdown of government, there was a large or a huge lacuna in regard to national security.
Attorney at Law Major Charita Siriwardana also pointed out that National Tawhid Jamaat and Jamaat-e Millatu Ibrahim, as well as the ban on face-covering attire, were not gazetted as per the Prevention of Terrorism Act.
We have been made to understand that the National Tawhid Jamaat and the Jamaat-e Millatu Ibrahim, that they have been banned. Just simply putting out by letter that they have been banned is not enough. They have to be banned as per the law. Now these bans, from the information I have received, up to yesterday, banning of these 2 organizations have not been gazetted as per the Prevention of Terrorist Act. Even the ban on the covering of the faces, even that has not been lawfully banned. Banning can be done instantly as per the emergency regulations, and also under the ordinary law as per the Prevention of Terrorism Act. But these things have not been lawfully done. Now another thing, there are lot of allegations by various quarters about some prominent Muslim politicians. Even if you assume for a moment that they are not involved, the question arises, with such prominent politicians in the highest echelons of government, the question is posed whether a regime could successfully launch a counter-terrorism campaign. Nowadays, the innocent Muslim people are also disturbed and they are also worried.
Now, the governor of Western Province, Azad Saleh, alleged today that there are even judges who are in support of Islamic extremist organizations in Sri Lanka. Speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo, he said that he is ready to personally inform the president on the identities of these judges and urge investigations on them.
When
police was informed about families with 7 or 8 members that performed Jummah, police took the side of National Tawheed Jamaat. I must say that the Chief Justice must take special note and action because there are some judges behind this as well. This is a new revelation and I have documents to prove it, and I don't hesitate in talking to the Chief Justice personally about those who are behind this. Even when the Waqf Board as well as the Pradesha Sabha ordered them not to build certain churches, a certain judge gave an order in open court that he will build that church as long as he continues to be a judge. I even informed the president to recognize these judges and launch investigations on them. Now, as promised earlier in the bulletin, we have a comprehensive update on the country's security status. The government has decided to adopt a strategy of duality in reopening schools for the second term. The Government Information Department issued a media communique saying that schools will be open for grade 6 and above on Monday the 6th. But it said that grades 5 and below will start a week later on Monday the 13th. Previously, all schools were set to be reopened on the 6th. However, security concerns were voiced from various sectors. In the midst of all this conjecture and speculation, search operations continue island-wide, yielding arrests and weapons. One such operation led to the discovery of 226 live ammunition from St. Joseph's Girls' School in Gampola.
In a backdrop where security in schools have been given utmost priority, 226 live ammunition were recovered from the St. Joseph's Girls' School in Gampola today. According to our correspondent, a cleaning staff at the school identified a suspicious parcel. Police and the army, who later arrived at the location to inspect its contents, recovered 201 bullets used for T-56 firearm and 25 other live ammunition used for pistols. Meanwhile, a sound similar to an explosion in Alawatugoda Mathale was reported today. The police who investigated as to what took place in the area discovered that the owner of the land where the sound was heard from conducted an explosion using wires to deter macaques. The owner of the land, however, claimed that he used firecrackers instead. He was later taken into police custody. Meanwhile, C4 explosives weighing 12 kilograms and a stock of detonators were found in Mana today. The security forces carried out a controlled explosion to destroy the explosives. Meanwhile, police found SLR ammunition as well as an ammunition used for the T-56 firearm, along with a live anti-aircraft shell dumped near a bridge along the Velaboda Road in Sigdua. Meanwhile, an individual named Mohammad Azmir was arrested at Mohandiram Road in Kesselwatta, being accused of possessing 28 CDs containing extremism. Meanwhile, 6 people were arrested during a raid in Alawatugoda. 2 swords, 2 sharp knives, locally known as mannaya, and blood sampling equipment which are banned in Sri Lanka were found in their possession. Meanwhile, the security forces found explosives and ammonia nitrate chemicals buried in Valipenna today. 2 individuals were arrested in this regard. This led to the inspection of another house in the area where a person was arrested, along with 2 walkie-talkies and 3 sharp knives. A person was arrested in Walasmulla for handling publicity work of the ISIS organization through Facebook following a tip-off. Security forces recovered 2 walkie-talkies, 5 mobile phones and 2 wire rolls from his residence. An individual was taken into custody last night by Sidua police for the possessing of 2 drones. Meanwhile, 2 members of the Tawheed Jamaat organization were arrested in Katunayaka. Upon inquiry, it was found that the individuals were brothers. The police also found 2 computers and photographs of them dressed as army officers in their possession. Meanwhile, the Alutgama police arrested one of the suspects listed in the wanted list of ISIS members residing in Sri Lanka. He was identified as a textile businessman named Mohammad Razik Mohammad Rauzan. Meanwhile, a search operation conducted by the army in collaboration with the Beruwala police led to the arrest of 15 persons today. The police also seized 3 swords, 2 knives and 8 mobile phones, as well as 1.8 million rupees in their possession. Meanwhile, Alutgama police were able to recover 4 swords made in a foreign country in a land in Dargah town. Vellavaya police discovered 3 swords buried in a house in Mahavelamulla in Vellavaya. A Muslim woman who was at the residence at the time was taken into custody. The army found 2 lorries without number plates hidden in a paddy store at Nachaduva in Anuradhapura following a tip-off today. Further investigations revealed that the 2 Muslim owners of the lorries have flown out of the country. The Sri Lanka Air Force carried out search operations in the Anuradhapura area, which led to the discovery of several Navy uniforms. The owner of the house was arrested in this regard. Meanwhile, the police requested the public to hand over all illegal weapons, including swords, knives and sharp daggers, currently in their possession to the nearest police station.
Now, permission was granted to the Colombo Crime Division today to further detain and question the 3 suspects who were arrested this Thursday for attempting to post 639 defamatory letters which incite enmity among the public. The suspects are identified to be former employees of the Ministry of Highways and Public Enterprise. Issuing a communique, however, its former minister Lakshman Kiriyala said that the letters did not contain any information that was defamatory or arouse ethnic conflict.
3 former employees from the Ministry of Highways and Public Enterprises were arrested at the Central Mail Exchange in Colombo this Thursday for attempting to post 639 defamatory letters which incite enmity among the public. Postal officers found a 3-page letter addressed to various temples across the country containing the name of the president while encouraging treason. The Colombo Crimes Division were granted permission today to further detain and question the suspects over the matter. Meanwhile, issuing a communique today, Minister of Public Enterprise, Kandyan Heritage and Kandyan Development, Lakshman Kiriyala, who was the former Minister of Highways and Public Enterprise, stated that the said letters did not contain any information that is defamatory or could spur ethnic conflict. The communique went on to say that media personnel have the right to inform the country's leaders and politicians on any incident which takes place in the country, and added that officers in his media unit too should have the right to publish information that concerns the nation's security.
It's nothing new that the tourism industry in Sri Lanka suffered a major blow due to the spate of attacks that took place in the country on Easter Sunday. Speaking to Euronews, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, Kishu Gomez, however, expressed optimism on having at least 2 million tourist arrivals this year despite the current setback. Meanwhile, the national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines is looking to bring air marshals on board some flights in a bid to enhance passenger security.
Sri Lanka will be made to work hard to return the tourism industry to full strength as it suffered a real blow due to the Easter bombings in the country. Despite increased security measures across the island, there have been a significant drop in the number of tourists to the country, especially from the European destinations. According to the Tourism Development Authority, Europe became the largest source of tourist traffic to Sri Lanka, with 50% of the tourist traffic received in January 2019. Asia and Pacific accounted for 41% of the total traffic, America 6%, Middle East 2% and Africa 1%. The debt-ridden national carrier Sri Lankan, on the other hand, cannot afford to have lesser payloads owing to its debt. Speaking to Euronews, Chief Executive Officer of Sri Lankan Airlines Vipula Gunatilaka says that whilst the National Air Force had taken charge of ground security, the state-owned carrier was looking to bring air marshals on board some flights. He added that in terms of passenger numbers and forward bookings, the national carrier has seen a decline of around 10%, with cancellations coming from European destinations. Speaking beyond the effects stemming from the recent attacks, the chief of the national carrier said that the administration expects the carrier to break even in 3 years' time, which is also mentioned in the turnaround plan submitted to the government. He, however, identified the biggest problem of the carrier as 45% of its losses being incurred by the interest financing costs. In the meantime, Chairman of the Sri Lankan Tourism Development Authority Kishu Gomez is hopeful that Sri Lanka would have at least 2 million tourist arrivals this year. Speaking to First at 9 today, Gomez said that despite the current situation in the country, 1,800 to 2,000 tourists are still arriving on a daily basis.
Obviously, with the attack that took place on the 21st of April, there has been a tremendous decline in the tourism industry. The arrivals actually has gone down by about 70%. But having said that, about 1,800 to 2,000 tourists are still coming in on a daily basis. And they are here to show their solidarity. They are here to show the rest of the world that Sri Lanka is now safe. And they are disseminating messages to the rest of the world. So with that, over the next couple of months' time, we'll be able to surely win back confidence in respect of security, and with that we can start the rebuilding process. Military will obviously come in front of the people and will make a presentation giving their analysis and as to how effectively and successfully they're being able to get the situation under control. And with that the tourism stakeholders will also explain as to what each group is going to do, what the hoteliers will do, what the travel agents will do, and together we will develop an integrated strategy, and with effective implementation of that with everyone's support, I'm sure we will be able to rebuild the tourism brand to be able to make that significant contribution to the country's economic growth.
State Minister of Finance Derana Wickramaratne says that he is encouraged by the immediate measures taken by the tourism industry in order to promote Sri Lanka, highlighting that the government is doing its best to ensure that the country recovers in the fastest way possible. Also expressing thoughts on the country's national carrier Sri Lankan, the minister expressed optimism of the potential of other segments attached to the airline.
Airlines has been a loss maker for several decades, apart from a couple of years in which they made a profit. But I think the encouraging factor is, if you take the Sri Lankan group, Sri Lankan catering services, you take ground handling, engineering, these are making profits. And I think there is great potential in actually increasing what they are making. So we are going to be looking at this as a group and seeing how it could be restructured in the future. Sri Lankan Airlines and the hotel industry in the very short term will be working very closely together in offering certain packages and deals in actually bringing tourists into this country.
The State Minister of Finance, Derana Wickramaratne, said that he is encouraged by the steps taken by the tourism industry in order to promote Sri Lanka following the waiver tax that impacted the industry negatively.
I'm very encouraged by how fast the industry is reacting, how they're drawing up plans in terms of promoting Sri Lanka, and also having conversations with all the different segments, from tour operators to hoteliers to all the other segments of the industry. Clearly it needs time because the first thing is security, then the travel advisories have to be vacated, and then we have to continue to build. Some countries have recovered in 6 months after such attacks, some have taken 2 years. We are doing our utmost to see that we recover in the fastest possible time. We have signed just in the last 2 weeks 2 agreements that will bring in dollars. One is the Millennium Challenge Fund. We are getting a grant of $480 million. A part of that will come in this year. As we progress, it's going to be spent on traffic management, public transport, on a cadastral land registry. So it puts in more money in the economy and also secures jobs. We have also just signed up with JICA a dollar loan of $1.7 billion at an interest of 0.1%, which is very low, and that will also be used in the public transport area to improve it. The central bank has taken measures also by lowering their reserve requirements, so that another 60 billion rupees has been put in the last 2 months. We are also going ahead with the Gamperelia program, putting 48 billion rupees over the next few months into the economy. We have already put in 80 billion rupees into the construction sector. So all these measures are being taken to make sure that in the face of adversity, that we will do our utmost to keep the economy going.
We have international news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is AdaDerana 24.
welcome back. It's time for news from overseas. Now, Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn has been crowned on the first of 3 days of coronation rites. King Vajiralongkorn inherited the throne in 2016 when his long-reigning father, Bhumibol Adulyadej, passed away. Thailand has a constitutional monarchy, but the royal family is highly revered by Thais and wields considerable power.
Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn was officially crowned as the divine monarch today after completing an intricate Buddhist and Brahmin rituals to symbolically transform him into a living god. King Vajiralongkorn sat erect and high on a throne above his queen, royal family members and Brahmin priests inside the Grand Palace Throne Hall, where the royal guardian deity Prasyam Devadiraj is said to reside. In his first royal command, the king said that he would reign with righteousness for the benefit and happiness of the people forever. The king sat under a 9-tied umbrella in full royal regalia, including a gold enamelled diamond-tipped crown. Traditionally uttered after a king is crowned, the king's first royal command serves to capture the essence of his reign. The king's royal command was similarly to that of his father's 69 years ago. The high-reaching crown, which weighs 7.3 kilograms, symbolizes the summit of Mount Meru, the Hindu god Indra's heavenly abode, and its weight represents the monarch's royal burden. The king was joined by new Queen Suthida after a surprise announcement 3 days before the coronation that the thrice-divorced monarch had married for a 4th time.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.